Welcome back to Real Tales. Today we have some really crazy stories, so you may want to stick by. Have a good reading. I am addicted to have intimate rapport with a woman who's cheating on her husband. I don't know how to stop. Before I explain my issue, I would like you guys to be non-judgmental. I realize I made some bad choices here, and that's why I'm asking for advice. I'm also new to Reddit, so please forgive me if I made any mistakes. I'm addicted to intimate rapport with a cheating married woman. I can't do it anymore unless I think of that particular scenario. I only feel pleasure if I do it with another man's wife. I don't know how to change it. So I'm a 23-year-old normal guy. I was at a bar with my friends from university. I met this woman who was sitting next to me in a fancy suit. I was telling my friends that she was way overdressed for this cheap bar when she overheard me and told me that it's always better to be overdressed than underdressed. I thought that was quite witty, and so I started chatting with her, and she told me she worked at a law firm and those were her work clothes. She and her friends were apparently there to blow off some steam after a long week of work. I continued talking with her and soon we started flirting. I'm good looking, many people have told me, so this wasn't something new. Also, I noticed a wedding ring on her finger, so I thought it was just harmless flirting. Towards the end of the night, there was a moment when we were alone. She kept flirting with me, and then when we were about to finish our drinks, she leaned in and put her mouth close to my ear and whispered, "So are you gonna take me home or what?" I was taken aback by this. I knew I shouldn't have done it, but I was going through a bit of a dry spell and she was somewhat good looking for a middle-aged woman. Also, her boldness amused me, so I said yes. While on the way to my place, she asked me if I had roommates and I said yes. She then directed me to go to a hotel instead of my place. We barely entered the hotel room and we went wild, passionate, mind-blowing intimate rapport. She was very good in bed. She took the lead. She guided me very well and also pleasured me very well. I was no slouch either. I gave it to her good and she was very satisfied with the intimate rapport. Here's the weird part. There were some things she said during our intimate rapport that amused me greatly. It was things that made me feel like I was better than her husband. I've never been so amused before. She said stuff like, "God, you last so much longer. You have so much more stamina." She said I've never did it like this before. All those things she said, I liked them a lot. It felt like a massive stroke to my ego because they felt like backhanded insults at her husband. To be honest, it also felt like I was doing her a favor of removing years of intimate frustration out of her. We had 3 rounds of intimate rapport that night. The next day she was gone when I woke up, but I found a note on the table near the bed. It said, "Thanks for last night. You were amazing. But this is a one-night thing, and so I don't think I will see you again." I was disappointed, but I understood that she was married and I didn't think more of it. But here's the problem. Ever since that day, I have been addicted to that feeling. It was like a high. I tried to repress that feeling, but I was like an addict wanting more. I even tried to go out and seduce married women, but it turns out that most married women don't do that stuff. I was lucky. I finally gave up, but I would repeatedly keep thinking about that night. And then one day I started searching the internet for Amanda. I found her easily because she showed me her card that night and I remembered her full name and job. I found her on LinkedIn and then I sent her a message saying, "Hi. Remember me?" She told me that she remembered me, but she didn't want me to contact her again, and whatever happened was a one-time thing. I was bummed, but I didn't contact her again. I still replayed that night in my mind again and again and wished that it would happen again. Well, my wish came true. After 2 months or so, she sent me a message asking me if I remembered her. I told her I did, and I remembered the night we had like yesterday. She asked me if I would like to do it again. Of course, I said yes. We met again, and once again the whole thing was amazing. She said the same things in bed like last time. She likes this too. But this time she noticed that I got turned on when she said things like that. After the first round, she asked me if I liked when she said stuff like that. I kind of reluctantly said yes. Then during the next round she added more and more stuff like that into the mix, and then I got incredibly happy. I then realized she was aroused by saying these things as well. I started saying some things about her husband and we both liked humiliating him. We finished and she left. The next day I felt very bad for saying such things. But then I met her again for intimate rapport, and once again all logic flew out the window. Ever since then we've been meeting up regularly and having intimate rapport. We got more and more into the humiliation kink. And so we humiliate her husband behind his back every time we have intimate rapport. I am addicted to this type of intimate rapport. It makes me feel like a god in those moments. I don't even watch lewd content anymore. All I do is reminisce about my intimate rapport with Amanda. I realize that I can't get it to work anymore without fantasizing about doing it with another man's wife. I honestly don't know what to do. I feel like I should stop, and I think that every time, but I just give in to the temptation when Amanda texts me. It also doesn't help that she is good in bed. How do I stop this? I can't stop giving in to the temptation. Even if I block her, after a while I unblock her and then we meet up again. Too long didn't read. I'm addicted to intimate rapport with a married woman. We both verbally humiliate her husband during intimate rapport, and I'm addicted to that. I want to stop, but I give in to the temptation. And now to the second story of the day plus the update. You are not gonna believe this. What about an open marriage? My dad is furious that my mom slept with other people in an open marriage he wanted. My parents got married when they were super young. My dad knocked up my mom, and their parents married them off. My grandfather was able to set up some business for my dad in a big city, and they moved here soon after my birth. My mom grew up in a conservative southern town where she was taught to be a submissive wife, and even after moving to the big city, she didn't spend much time socializing. She had no friends and never went out. My dad was only there to provide for us. He was always away on business, and he wasn't there as a husband for my mom or as a father to me. My dad made a lot of money, so we never lacked anything. Growing up, I became my mom's best friend. We would talk about everything. I pushed her to make friends and to find hobbies. After years of pushing, she started going to a nearby park and made her first friend, a gym trainer. Encouraged by her friend and me, she decided to join the gym. She met a few more people there and started having some semblance of a social life. But she still continued to tell me everything. I think my dad's new secretary gave him the idea, but he asked my mom for an open marriage almost a year ago. He told her he wasn't happy in their marriage and that she wasn't providing him with everything he wanted. My mom, who is a Christian wife, was mortified and told me about the proposal in tears. I suggested she get a divorce, but she said she didn't believe in it and she wouldn't be the one to end their marriage. As my dad pushed, I knew exactly where this would end up if my mom agreed. Her friend and I convinced her. My mom was hesitant at first, but she agreed with the condition that they would be completely transparent with each other. My dad was a middle-aged man with a belly and my mom was an athletic woman who worked out regularly. I'm a 22-year-old woman, by the way. I don't know how my dad was so blind or what he thought would happen. I helped create online dating profiles for my mom almost 6 months ago. After getting an insane number of matches, choosing from them and chatting with them for months, my mom started hooking up with a few people. Getting all this attention has provided a massive boost to her confidence and she seems better. My dad hooked up with his secretary almost immediately. He's had very little luck with other ladies. With their transparency thing, my mom tells him about all her hookups. A few weeks ago, my dad screamed at my mom for some minor thing. Usually, my mom would have apologized, but with her new confidence, she didn't back down. It's been constant fights the last few weeks. My dad keeps starting fights by making snide remarks about my mom's clothing or appearance. He almost even called my mom a bad girl but stopped himself. I think open marriage finally sunk in. My mom told me he tried to have a conversation about stopping their open marriage, but she immediately shot it down. I think they'll split up. My dad was never there for either of us, but the thought of my parents splitting up still feels weird. I don't feel bad for my dad, but I wish he put effort into his family. I'm happy for my mom though. And now to the first update of this story. A few days after my previous post, my dad left our home and had a divorce served to mom in a week. My grandparents didn't know about any of this, but my dad told them when he served the divorce. He also implied to them that my mom was cheating on him. Both sets of grandparents came to our home and started berating my mom. I kept screenshots of all my parents' communications, and my mom showed them to them, and it got way worse after that. Grandparents started fighting each other, blaming each other's children for causing all this. A few days after this, my mom's old church friends came to our home. Back when my mom used to go to church, they used to look down on her for being from a small town. My mom has always been a very caring and non-judgmental person, so she disagreed with their bigotry and they began excluding her from their activities. After she met her gym friends, my mom stopped going to church entirely. These church friends started calling my mom a bad girl and she kicked them out. My mom is on a cut right now, so she has very defined abs and arms. So along with all the normal stuff getting thrown at her, my grandparents accused her of having a man body, and she also had a lot of random transphobia thrown at her. Her trainer friend has been a great support through all this. She contacted the attorney she used for her divorce, and my mom is spending a lot of time at her house. Turns out, the business my dad is running is owned by mom. It was set up by my mom's dad in her name, so it belongs to her. I did not know this until now and assumed that my dad owned it. The whole situation is a huge mess right now. Dad is living in some hotel and my grandparents left yesterday after a week of fighting and trying to force my parents back together. I know there's a lot more divorce drama to come, but I hope it calms down for now. And now to another update. A few months later, a lot of stuff has happened since my last update. Firstly, I wanted to thank all the well-wishers on my previous posts. Writing these posts has helped me process the stuff that's happening, so I'm making another one. My mom's attorney, the one recommended by my mom's gym friend Lisa, has been a great help. She walked my mom through what's going to happen and reassured her. She started looking through the company stuff in preparation for the divorce proceedings, and we found a lot of shocking stuff. I don't know why I was surprised by this, but my dad was having affairs for a long time. He used company resources to book flights and resorts at holiday destinations. There were receipts for many trips with multiple women, spanning the last 10 years. Because he was always absent from our lives, my mom didn't suspect anything. It didn't seem like he made any effort to hide these. He also used the company email to talk to his secretary about the affair stuff. Turns out, they were doing it months before my dad asked my mom for an open relationship. This is what we gathered from their emails after months of their affair. The secretary didn't want to remain a mistress, so she started pestering my dad to get a divorce. But they wanted my mom to initiate it so that he could get a massive chunk of the company. The secretary came up with the idea of asking my mom for the open relationship. They hoped that my mom would be horrified and ask for a divorce. They were caught off guard when my mom agreed. My dad got jealous when my mom started having intimate reports. After initiating the divorce, he deleted all his emails and told his secretary to do it too. Unfortunately for him, they were still stored the company email server. I haven't seen my dad in over a month. All of his communication has been through his attorney. He apparently wants half the company. My mom's attorneys are still looking for more evidence, but they told us that they don't expect him to get much with the evidence they have. Lisa has been supporting my mom through the whole ordeal. She also got a divorce because her husband cheated on her, so she's been helping my mom a lot. Original poster made us know through a comment. Hey, it's me. The whole divorce stuff has my mom very stressed, but she was happy when I told her that a lot of online strangers on Reddit were rooting for her. Also, I expect the divorce to go to trial because my dad is stubborn. So, it's probably just going to be a normal divorce proceeding going forward. So, unless something noteworthy happens, this might be the last update. And now to the third story of the day. My best friend, Gabe, I've known for 7 years. We're really close and also work together. I met him before I met my then boyfriend, now husband Oliver. Oliver has never liked Gabe. Oliver has previously expressed to me that he wasn't comfortable with Gabe, but at the time I didn't think anything of it. 2 years ago Oliver and I got married after college and it's been going great ever since. My other work friends, including Gabe, hang out often at each other's places and Oliver hates whenever I go over to Gabe's or when he comes to our house. We watch movies together often and have meaningful conversations that I really enjoy. Anyways, all that to say I thought everything we did was completely platonic. 2 days ago, we were sitting in his car and the conversation got really depressing. I went to hug him and we said reassuring things to each other. It was weirdly intimate. When I leaned back, our faces were really close and we both went to kiss each other. I hesitated for a moment and almost let him do it before I pushed away. He drove me home and I felt guilty when I saw Oliver at home. I felt like crap and went to sleep immediately, partly because I realized Oliver was right to doubt our relationship and also because I messed up. I haven't said anything to Oliver and I don't know how I would tell him. Or do I not tell him at all? I really love my husband and I value my friendship with Gabe. I'm really confused and don't know what I say to either of them. Too long didn't read. I'm married and almost kissed my male friend. Do I tell my husband? Original poster from the third story made an update, saying, yes, I did tell my husband, Oliver, that Gabe tried to kiss me. He said he trusts me but wants me to stay away from Gabe. I told Gabe I wasn't comfortable with the turn our relationship was taking and it had to be platonic. This ended it and was months ago. We're still friends, we just don't hang out outside of work. More recently, a very close work friend, James, passed away and I have been an emotional wreck ever since. James, Gabe, and I used to mess around at work and we were all really good friends. Oliver barely knew my work friend and though he has tried to console me I just don't feel like he understands. The absolute pain I'm feeling right now is unmatched. James was a part of my chosen family. Gabe and I have been talking more to reflect on our time with James. This pissed my husband off. I don't want to invalidate his feelings and I understand his anger. But having someone who understands what I'm going through has been beneficial to my grieving. It makes me feel a lot better having someone who knew James as well as I did. I have really bad judgment and I'm honestly not sure what to do here. I'm quite literally sitting in a parking lot. Too long didn't read. I told my husband male friend tried to kiss me and distanced myself from male friend. Male friend and I have a mutual work friend who passed. Husband is upset that I'm spending more time with male friend to talk about our past friend. Help. An interesting response was given from a commenter. Sorry to say, regardless of the situation, you broke a boundary and your husband has every right to be upset. You had an appropriate contact with this guy, and now you're compromised emotionally and you're talking to him again. Anyone who has lost a friend or family member can relate to what you're feeling. You didn't have to turn to Gabe. You made the choice and used the situation to break a boundary with your husband. In all seriousness, you should have turned to your husband, not to Gabe. An original poster said, my husband didn't know my work friend well and Gabe did. Perhaps I shouldn't have turned to Gabe, but it was nice to talk and laugh about our favorite memories of our friend. I just really missed our trio. And that was it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed. If so, please consider subscribing and liking this video. More stories are coming for you. This is Real Tales, and remember, keep being awesome.